Here with me today is the lovely Kiran Rao.
Okay. Page 3 kind of articles that said, oh, she wears glasses, so she must be intellectual. Like the Laapataa or Lost Ladies in my film, I was also a bit lost.
Did you ever think you might want to act?
Acting is something I've always loved, and I still don't mind acting.
So well done.
So good you are.
So nice. Huh? One of the select few genuinely celebrated films of the recent times, Laapataa Ladies, is helmed by a curly-haired, effervescent intellect. She's a writer, director, and producer par excellence. Here with me today is the lovely Kiran Rao.
Hi, Tisca.
Hi, Kay. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Listen, from your work in Pani Foundation to the way you dress, to the films you've chosen to direct and produce, everything is so non-formulaic. So in an industry that sort of lives on stereotypes, don't you find yourself square peg in round hole?
I've been used to that kind of like assumption about who I am and how I'm doing things for so long now. When I entered this kind of like high-powered, glamorous world of Hindi films with my kind of glasses and, you know, curly hair and crooked teeth.
So refreshing.
Everyone was like, who is this girl? In fact, I remember being really amused by one of the then, page 3 kind of articles that said, oh, she wears glasses, so she must be intellectual. Yeah. So I kind of feel like I've, through these years, found my way. It's been a journey for me to find my own voice, to find what excites me to do. And for much of my career, I had an incredible partner in Amir, who is such a torchbearer himself, is such a rule breaker. And honestly, from kind of collaboration and learning and contributing in that whole Amir Khan Productions journey, I think now I've found myself in a space where I can really define what I want to do next. And I've started my own company and I'm doing my work. So it's been a journey for me internally. It's not so much like fitting any peg, whether I'm square or round. I'm not sure what I am.
but it's you must have heard a whole bunch of things because a lot of gyan is given to people. Ki aap aisa karo, aap aisa karo, aap aisa karo. So given that thing, what were some of the funnier things you heard?
Over the years, actually, it's been constantly this industry idea of what works that one has to constantly navigate. Right now, huge action blockbusters are working, or at some other time, it'll be
Till suddenly it
VFX. Till suddenly it doesn't, and there's like the outlier that does really well.
Yeah.
And I think because I'm so much from outside the industry, all of that has never quite affected the way I approach the stories that I want to tell. I kind of, what I'm attracted to, I just can't kind of manipulate or calculate.
Navigate that, yeah.
I just automatically sort of
do that,
respond to certain material and I want to make it. So when Laapataa Ladies came along, actually as a script, technically it was not a humongously commercial film in that sense. It could be because, depending on the way you tell the story, two brides getting lost can be, quite in any kind of genre could work.
Which is also the question that I had. There was a hiatus of about 14 years before you came back to your comeback film. So to choose a film like Laapataa with virtual unknowns, so as to say, you made this film and with such conviction and such humor and tenderness. Lovely film, lovely film. And it wasn't a typical choice for a comeback. So how did you sort of pick that? And how did you have the confidence to say that, okay, I'm making something after Dhobi Ghat, after 14 years, and I'm going to make Laapataa Ladies?
It wasn't a decision I even could take. I was busy writing, and I like to say that like the Laapataa or Lost Ladies in my film, I was also a bit lost. I was looking for my next project. And of course, while I was enjoying having a child, I had a child the year Dhobi Ghat released. I was still writing incessantly. And I never was quite happy with the way the scripts were turning out, and I wasn't quite sure where the industry was going. And, there were so many questions in my mind about the next film I wanted to make. And one day Amir came home and said, he was part of the jury of a screenwriting competition, and he told me the story of Laapataa Ladies. And, just instantly I knew that was something I wanted to make. For whatever reason, the idea of two girls on a journey into the unknown, one looking for her way back and one looking for her way forward, was just a story that spoke to me instinctively. There's a funny story about why we chose Nirmal Pradesh as the name, because we were like, acha to, what should we call this fictitious state? And we have a lot of buses and cars and bikes and things in our film, and we were like, we should figure out a state that with the registration number of which doesn't exist. So we went through, there's AP, there's TN, there's this, that, and the other, there's WB, MH. So NP was something that doesn't exist in the country. So we were like, some Pradesh we can make it. So it can't be Andhra Pradesh, it can't be, Himachal Pradesh. So NP was decided.
Nice. The other thing that struck me was when one looks at the work that both you have done and Amir has done, there's a sort of a sweet spot between commercial and creative excellence. So there is something which could just as easily become art house, whether we talk about Tare or a Dangal or a PK or whatever it is. Each of them has social messaging embedded into it, as does Laapataa. So was that something that you consciously sort of went for, or is it something that you connect with Amir over, that cinema is meant to be a vehicle of awakening and change, or you're okay with cinema just being entertainment?
Well, we are also the production house who made Delhi Belly. So clearly we want to make films that people enjoy. I think that's what Amir and I both really connected on, was the idea that stories bring people together, and they're a place where we can really not just discover ourselves and see ourselves and our problems on screen, but we can really let our hair down. We can really, go home feeling in some way energized, refreshed, enlightened, or whatever you call it, So the idea is never really to go home with a lecture and a, kind of notebook in which you should have noted things down. And that's the joy of being able to tell stories. I would like to be able to tell stories to wide numbers of people in my life. And if they are able to speak about issues I feel strongly about, I feel I've done something worthwhile.
Valuable. Yeah. Hypothetically, if you were to direct me in a film, would it be rehearsal, blocking, all planned, scheduled? Or would it be learn your lines, don't walk into the furniture, come dekh lenge? Or what would it be like?
It really actually depends on the actor. Some actors I feel really don't benefit from rehearsing. They are very good instinctively. They can bring much more when they are responding to the moment on set. What I do like is, like you said, to know your lines. And sometimes we have to do dialect coaching for a dialect. But other than that, it's really depends on what the actor, how you feel the actor is seeing the scene, and whether the actor and other actors around them are responding with the same pitch. Especially when it's humor, for me, actually, tone is really important. Because different people perform humor very differently, and they have different sort of pitches, as I call it. Sur alag hota hai. So I feel like in those cases, it helps to actually have rehearsals where you can feel, you calibrate with other actors. I like the idea of for actors to read together so that they can just hear each other and feel what this film is about, and it brings a certain kind of, I don't know, I feel like actors feel more relaxed on set if they've already sort of heard and met every other actor in the film. And so we do table reads a lot.
Yes. Did you ever think you might want to act?
Acting is something I've always loved, and now I feel like, it would have been great to act and I still don't mind acting if I get a great role. I don't mind doing a...
Really?
Yeah, of course. In fact, I love the idea of... Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love the idea of doing theatre, actually, because theatre is genuinely I feel almost first love more than film. Like, I'd rather go to the theatre than go to a cinema house.
In the post-pandemic world, the world and their cousins are watching everything from Korean to Chinese to, Spanish, things from across the world. And Hindi cinema is competing with that. And somewhere it's losing the battle because people aren't coming into cinemas. So how do you think Hindi cinema needs to reinvent, and what is it that we can do to bring the hordes back into the cinemas? Because we are a cinema-loving country.
So it's not like we've entirely lost our audiences because they've only found Korean cinema or something else. It's that they've become very choosy about their time and their money. And I think their attention is something that we'll be fighting for with other kinds of films, with social media, with life in general, which has become, so incredibly hectic. So my feeling is that the only way to do it, of course, is to keep telling better and better stories. I feel like what used to happen when we had films releasing only in cinemas was that it was a kind of entertainment. Mm-hmm. It was the way that we could hang out with other people. Mm-hmm. There was there was a buzz after the film, everybody chatting, and the community experience was something that we longed for. And it felt like a day out, like we were going out. Even now, going to a cinema feels like, oh, we're going out, And somewhere along the way, there's so many other kinds of entertainment, for instance, that are either more affordable, more convenient, or just better and more fun. Like I'd actually, prefer to lie on my couch and scroll on Instagram, versus get in a car and drive and find parking and do various things. So our audiences have definitely changed. And I feel our attention span, our desire, we are inundated with options.
Yeah.
So much so that it's exhausting. Everything is a visual. Whether you're, open a newspaper, you see more pictures than writing. We're just bombarded by images all day long from our phones, from when we travel on the road. So I feel like it's a bit... We're a little bit...
overwhelmed.
It's
overwhelmed with content.
Exactly.
Yeah. What part of filmmaking do you find most challenging? Is it the writing, or is it the pre-production? Is it the casting? Is it recce's for location? Or is it the edit? Or is it promotions? Okay, I'll remove promotions because you're going to say promotions for sure. That's the most...
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so not promotions.
100%.
Which part of the other parts do you find?
I think the edit is the trickiest part of filmmaking in general, because that's where you actually find your story. You find that you set out with a story that was great on paper, or even great in storyboards, or even great when you were shooting it, but does it actually translate quite the same way when you've edited it? So that's actually the most challenging part of filmmaking, when you're taking a story that's been translated from the word to the image to finally, a story,
3D,
start to finish. And I feel a lot of people tend to rush that process, and perhaps it's a process that I have learned the most through, and I'm very grateful that I've always have been given the time to find my film on the edit table. And perhaps people don't need to, because they're so confident of how the film plays out. But I've taken very long to edit both my films. I've been really lucky to have had the luxury of doing it. And it's changed the film entirely. And in Amir Khan Productions, we've been testing films, right? From our very first film, from Tare on, Lagan onwards, we've always tested our films. And it's really, in fact, for Tare, it was a very, very intense process of testing to find the right balance. There was a point at which film reaches a sweet spot after you realize when people are smiling, when they're crying, when they've actually felt emotionally completely moved by it, or some things that they felt, in some way were like either off-putting or why is it there, and things like that, And in Tare, there was a very interesting point at which people were like, it's feeling a bit like a documentary. When we went to the special needs school, for instance, that whole section, and we knew, obviously Amir knew that is very much part of the film. That's why we want to make the film. So how do we include it and let people feel comfortable about it? The idea is not to show that only people with special needs are special. It's to show that each of us has special needs in many different ways. So to arrive at that took a lot of iteration for Amir, even as where to put certain shots, in that Tare Zameen Par song.
As your husband directing for the first time, because as an actor, when I saw Amir, I've always, of course, been a fan. But when I saw him directing for the first time, I saw him exhausted on days, and my heart went out to him because he was acting and he was directing, and he was unprepared to direct at that point. So how was that on the other side?
Yeah, it was quite a time. It was quite a time because he had kind of been through, we kind of jumped into it, and he was acting and producing and directing. And we were producing a film 4 years after Lagan for the first time.
Yeah.
Right? It was like restarting production. And of course, luckily we had Rao Saab and we had a very strong production team. But I was like literally first thing, as if you remember, I was like on set all the time because it was and it was also working with children who are an endless suck of your energy when when you need to be absolutely focused, plus acting after a very long gap. It was also just early days for us as we were married, but we just started the production house again. We were very idealistic. So every night was very like discussing all the things that had gone wrong and laughing about it and crying about it a little bit. So it was a very intense shoot.
Yeah, but what a lovely baby came out.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It was just something that we are... I'm intensely proud of, and I'm sure Amir also is. He, of course, had such an instinctive understanding of what that film needed as a director that though it was difficult in some ways to play all these roles, I felt that he just handled it so seamlessly without the kids ever feeling pressured, without anybody ever feeling like, oh my God, what's going on?
What I felt when we were as actors on set, I often think about Tare as being ground zero for me. I've just directed a film myself, and that is where I actually, by observing the process, that the film, the way you were allocating resources, the way things were being told to us, by the way Amir was doing the shot division, is where I learned how to make a film. And the way, the readings that happened and how all of us were put into a room as a family, all of that made it the film that it was. And, certain things which are very, like the B-rolls for the kids' reactions and all of that was just so cleverly done. And it was really a masterclass for me. So I'll forever be grateful to the both of you for that. Yeah. So that was something very, very extraordinary.
Very special film for all of us involved with it.
What is the run-up to the Oscars like? We're all cheering from back home in India. What is that circus like? What is the whole, screenings and, trying to get people to watch your film?
It was a huge learning experience for us. We really entered at a point when the film actually had already been on Netflix. It had already had a release. A lot of the films that get sent to the Academy to be considered for any of these Best International Film have never been released before. So what you're doing is taking a fresh film that's just come off of festivals, etc., to the Academy. So it was generating interest in the film again was like starting from scratch.
Yeah.
It is a little bit of a circus in the sense that there are things that one has to do, screenings that one has to organize, basically try to get as many Academy members to watch your film as possible. And you are generally in a scenario where Academy members have so many other films to watch. It's a whole lot of learning. And I think what's important to keep in mind, I think, when you're taking your film there is to, show your film as widely as possible, but have as much fun as you can while you're doing it. Because at the end of the day, you're meeting people from, all over the industry, whether they are not only directors or producers. There's all kinds of people who are Academy members who are voting for the international film section. The actual nitty-gritty of it is genuinely, it's like a science, and the kind of publicists and the whole academy have worked out a way in which you can showcase your film to members and things, and then you kind of go through whatever those steps the best you can, depending on your time, energy, budget, etc. But it was a great opportunity for us to, sort of show our film to a whole new audience.
And ultimately, I think that's the end game, right?
Yeah.
You want the maximum number of people to actually just come and enjoy your film.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful that we had the chance.
No, of course, and so well deserved. It was truly a fine film.
Really happy that we got to represent our country. It was wonderful for us.
Yes. You've journeyed through a lot of stuff. Does success still mean box office and the applause of people within the industry, your family and peers, or is it something quieter, different? What does success mean to you today?
Success really means being able to continue on my journey, to have the ability, the confidence to keep doing things that are meaningful for me. I feel like I've always been on a search, some sort of a quest for myself. And for me, success is that I'm able to continue on that journey, for one. I'm being encouraged to continue on this journey. And the second is that I have so many people with me on that journey, I feel. This film has given me so much love and so much, I feel, affection and I'd like to say almost a sense of community from people who've watched the film, that I feel like I'm on this journey now with many more people. And that for me is success.
That's lovely. But we're not going to let you go without a little game of Dumb Charade.
Okay.
Yes. Our wonderful crew has come up with some things that they want to tell you. So I'm going to do the guessing and you're going to tell me which one first. And then
Okay.
You up for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You like
3 words.
Date. Face to face. Rubaru.
Yes!
So well done.
So good you are. So amazingly you got
done.
it. Yeah,
so
good. Chalo.
So well done.
One word. It's my film. It's our film. कुछ ना कहना, चुपचाप खुसफुस. First word. Fear. मत बोलो. Secret. Secret. Superstar. Sorry. How bad am I? Okay, cool.
Second word. Dil. Dil de diya. Dil. Dosti प्यार. प्यार. प्यारे.
Okay.
First word. Plate. Hindi. थाली. थाली. साली. साली मोहब्बत. So nice.
I would never guess. Thali.
Nice. Thali mohabbat. Good.
Second word. Bacha, pet, pregnant, pet. English for pet, stomach. Delhi belly.
Easy now.
I knew it. Belly. Belly. Nice.
That's so much fun.
It took me so long with Thali Mohabbat. My God.
No, not at all. It was lovely. I could have never guessed, but you came up with Thali. Nice. Thank you so much, Kay, for being
good fun.
with
Always
us on this conversation, and thank you for making time.
Always fun. Thank you, my darling.
Lots of it.
That was the exceptional Kiran Rao in a refreshingly candid chat on Select Conversations with Tisca Chopra. Do join the conversation in the comments below and subscribe to Royal Stag Barrel Select Shorts on YouTube for more curated conversations with your favorite artists.